Nothing prepares us for the moment our last child leaves home. I thought I was ready until I stood in my garden grieving and a baby bird fell from a tree at my feet. There are moments in parenthood we think we're prepared for until we're standing in them. Today's podcast is for the parent who's watching their child step into adulthood and feeling both pride and grief at the same time. If you're navigating the empty nest transition or you feel it coming, this episode will give you a new perspective, practical ways to move forward, and the reassurance that letting go isn't the end of your role. Got your coffee? Let's tackle the empty nest trauma. So 2 days before my son's high school graduation, I stood in the garden pouting. I was proud he'd reached his milestones, and yet I stood grieving the loss of the last child in our home. We spent 18 years preparing him for adulthood, so why was I now teary-eyed and resentful? The last of my children was about to enter the world. As I continued watering the flowers, I realized I didn't know how to fully let go of mothering him. When our daughter left home, I clung to the knowledge I still had the youngest to fuss over, but this time my nest would be empty. While sitting on the top of the flower bed walls, immersed in my self-pity, a baby bird fell with a plop from the maple tree near me. His mother was screaming a tirade of warnings while jumping from limb to limb above him. Forgetting my self-indulgence, I ran to help the baby bird before my cat made a quick lunch of him. His body was as round as a tennis ball. His wings were half covered in feathers and down, and it looked as if he'd chosen to leave the nest just a week or two too early. His stubby little wings didn't look like they could carry his own body weight. When I reached to pick him up, he greeted me with an expectant, open mouth. Once he realized I wasn't his mother, his squeaks brought a scolding from the mother robin that made me fear for my life. The nest was too high in the tree to return him, so I gently placed him in the covered platform bird feeder that's about 7 feet off the ground. It's safe from predators. I moved away to watch what the mother robin would do. Now, during this time, the mother bird continued to bounce from limb to limb, calling to him. And in the bird feeder, he teetered on the edge and jumped out again, landing with a thud on the soft ground under the heather. Replacing him in the feeder, I heard the mother robin change the pitch and the frequency of her song. This time, instead of jumping, he looked for her. He calmed down. She continued at a constant interval for 3 hours. I was amazed at the consistency of her vigil. I felt as if I were that mother in a similar situation. I couldn't put my my soon-to-be graduated son back in the nest, and I wasn't completely convinced yet that his wings were mature enough to enter the world. Unsure how to best support my son, I continued to watch the lessons to gain insight from the mama robin. She continued calling him from several spots in the yard as the baby bird watched her every move. First, she called from a rose trellis where all he had to do was turn his head to see her. Next, she moved to a lower rock wall where the baby bird had to stand up to see her. Then she moved to the grass, just far enough away that he had to move to the edge of the feeder to continue to see her. All the time she was making these strategic moves, she never stopped calling out to him. Moving farther and farther away in the yard, she began to pull worms from the ground. The baby robin apparently could not stand the increasing distance anymore and began to shout back to her. When he neared what appeared to be a panic stage, she relented and flew to the feeder to comfort him. But in less than a minute, she stood on the edge of the feeder, looking back over her shoulder at him, calling out an encouragement while returning to the yard. The mother robin brought the baby several worms to eat. Each time the baby bird looked full and too comfortable, she began again the ritual of calling to him and walking away in the yard. This scenario repeated itself several more times as she encouraged him to take to the air and fly. From watching her, I learned that once the time had come for my baby to fly, my job was to recognize it and shout encouragement. The lesson of letting go from a distance appeared uncaring, but was the last most important equipping lesson for flight. I realized from her coaching that flight was a choice, not a chance. She could not do it for him. Since he had made the decision to leave the nest, ready or not, her function then was to teach him to fly. Like it or not, the baby bird was out of the nest, and her job description had changed. I have to remind myself that flight training is necessary to avoid the predators in life waiting to devour a rookie stepping into adulthood. So for today, I'm committed to stocking the refrigerator and shouting encouragement. By hanging on to my young adult, I would guarantee his lack of survival. At this time in his life, my letting go was the last selfless labor of love that would set my child's wings to flight. I can pray, and I pray he soars with the eagles. Let's go through 5 survival tips for the empty nest transition that I learned through this trauma situation for us. And it's real. It takes us by surprise, I think, sometimes. So number 1, we redefine our role. We're not done being parents. We're transitioning from hands-on to hands-off support. Just like the mother robin in the story, our role shifts from protecting in the nest to guiding from a distance. So our practical shift, we have to ask ourselves, how can I encourage, guide, and support without controlling? Number 2, take control for encouragement. Trade control. She flew to where he needed to be and then called to him, demonstrating where to go next. So we can do that by maybe sending texts of encouragement, speak belief into their decisions, celebrate small wins with them. Or I used to say, you're so good at that, you'll figure it out. It was hard for me to do that, but it shifted the responsibility over to our children. Our words become their inner voice. Number 3, let discomfort do its work. This is a hard one. It's the hard truth, though. Growth requires discomfort for them and for us. In the story, the baby bird had to feel the distance before choosing to move. So for us, we have to fight and resist the urge to fix everything. Sometimes stepping in too quickly delays their own maturity. So discomfort is often the training ground for independence. Number 4, stay present without hovering. You notice the mother bird never disappeared. She just repositioned herself. She moved from branch to wall to ground, always visible but not overwhelming. So this might look like for us being available but not intrusive, listening more than giving advice, and let them initiate some conversations. Presence builds security without suffocating growth. And number 5, we need to build a life beyond the nest. This is where many parents struggle and quietly grieve. Our identity has been deeply tied to raising our children. Now God is inviting us into a new season of purpose. So we have to ask ourselves, what's been sitting on the back burner? Or what brings me life outside of parenthood? And where is God calling me next? An empty nest isn't a loss of purpose, it's a shift in assignment. If you're in this season right now, I want to remind you of something simple but powerful. Letting go doesn't mean we've lost our child. It means we've done our job well. Just like that mother bird, we've spent time preparing them for flight. And now our greatest act of love isn't holding on tighter, it's stepping back and cheering them on. And maybe today our role looks like stocking the refrigerator or sending a text or simply whispering a prayer, Lord, let them soar. Because flight is not a chance, it's a choice, and we've helped prepare them for it. So if this episode encouraged you, share it with another parent who might be standing in their own garden moment with a baby bird at their feet. And if you like this story, I've written a 5-book series called Lessons from the Garden. This comes from the one called Seeds of Wisdom for Parents, Grandparents, and Guardians. They're available at Amazon or on my own website. The website is ihaveyourback.com. And remember, there's a dash between each word, so it's I-have-your-back.com. And as always, we're in this together. I'm Pamela J. Vincent, and I have your back.